Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday night live stream, the chilled session or chill brush. Before we get started, I just want to share with you the membership video and we'll get straight into ZBrush. So, you want to join my membership?
Gotcha. Sign up.
By joining, you won't only unlock members-only content, you'll also be supporting my channel and the growth of the community. Are you ready to do your part?
I'm doing my part.
For as little as a price of coffee a month.
God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit.
You'll be able to access all past live streams and get exclusive members-only content.
Yeah, boy.
That's less than 49p a video.
Shut up and take my money.
So if you're ready, join now and become part of this 3D journey.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right, so as you saw there, you become a member of the YouTube channel and you'll be able to unlock all the Thursday and Monday live streams. The Monday live streams are tutorials style live streams, so you'll be able to follow along with two tutorials that we have created so far. So it's the dragon tutorial and the anatomy tutorial, which we are currently doing. And the Thursday ones are a bit more chilled. There's a lot of mini tutorials, maybe some showing you how to do things inside of ZBrush and Photoshop and other 3D programs. So if you want to see those, then also become a member. Patreons, you could actually become a tier 3 patron, and you'll be able to unlock the Raptor tutorial on how to sculpt the Velociraptor inside of ZBrush for beginners and experienced artists, and you'll get all the files as well for that, so you can follow along at your own time. Also, just a heads up, I still selling my 50 zombie skin ZBrush VDM brushes, the brand new brushes that we're going to use tonight in this live stream. So if you want, you can grab those as well. They're on my ArtStation link, ArtStation, Flip Normals, Cube Brush, and Gumroad. So if you want, just go check that out in the links in the description box below. Cool. All right, let's turn on the comment section real quick. Say hello to everybody that's in here tonight. Got a bit of a different setup going at the moment for my live stream, so I'm just testing out a new look to it as well. Hopefully this will just make everything a bit more streamlined on the Thursdays. And on Mondays, I'm also going to change it for Mondays as well, maybe in the new year, not right now because we have a anatomy tutorial we're working on at the moment. I want to kind of keep the look of that going the same, so we're going to leave that until next year, and I'll show you that. But let's jump straight into, oh wait, let me turn on the music first. Oh no. Yeah, that'll do. Right, let's jump into ZBrush. Again, this is a chilled stream, so if you want, you can ask me any questions you like. We're currently just doing a project on the Callisto Protocol creature, one of them. So let me just show you on the board right now. Here we are. So you can see this is what we're working on at the moment. Kind of taking our time a little bit. We worked on the arm in the last live stream, as well as had some talks about stuff that's to do with the industry and whatever, but I kind of worked on that in the background, and I'm going to now move on down the legs of our creature. Hopefully you'll get this done tonight, like the sculpting part of it, then we can move on to the texturing part, and then the rendering part, or posing and rendering part, and then compositing later on. We'll see though. I kind of like working on this in my own time, you know, like a slower sort of sculpt rather than doing these very fast sculpts that I normally do. So we'll see how far we get with it tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to get the legs done, but we'll see. So let's get into it. Just gonna come down to where the groin area is. We're gonna start on this right leg here, or left leg, depending on which way you're looking at it. Let's see what we can do. Has everybody had a good week so far? It's almost the weekend again, thank God. Just gonna make a new layer quick. Right. And you probably also noticed that in the chat section, you can see some of my images have been moving, which is kind of strange because I only ever do image. I don't do moving images, but that was kind of some tests I did using AI from Adobe Creative AI system. So I sort of just, because it's my own artwork, I just pumped it into the plugged it into the online portal, and I asked it to just animate them, very small animations with my own images. So you'll see a few of them moving around. I was doing some tests with it the other night, and I thought, why not? You know, I've got all these images that I've created over the last few years, and I thought it'd be quite cool to see how AI, because it's my own artwork, how AI might work with it and how it might interpret the image. And those are the ones that are a bit more successful than others. But yeah, I think they work pretty well. Next month in December, because I used up all the credits, right, in order to make those AI. So next month, December, the first Thursday of the month, I should get more credits, and I can show you how I went about and did the AI image to video for those. So if you're interested in that sort of thing and you want to probably see how it works, I'll show you how that works with Adobe Creative's version. Thanks, Kester. Yeah, I thought that as well. I did, like I said, I did a couple of them and I forgot to download them. Kester says the AI animated models in the background look pretty cool. Like I said, I did a few of them, but those are the best ones that came out. There are a few of them that were really quite rubbish. There was one that I did a full body creature that I had sculpted and rendered, and I uploaded the image. I just asked AI to make the creature look around and move a little bit, and it completely changed the monster or the creature that was there into something that was completely different to what I actually had. So I think for like busts and facial features, like humanoid types things, it works pretty well. But I don't know, for creature stuff that needs the continuation of the or the sort of the same look, it's still a little bit janky on that, trying to keep that look of the image. Is something glitchy going on in the chat? Usually it shows our full names instead of account names. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. YouTube, I've heard this from other live streams I've watched, how their people are getting the same problems. So I'm not sure what YouTube's doing, but I'm not sure. That's the back end stuff. That's for IT, I guess. Casey says the red demon, the orc, and the blue alien looking around are the best in my opinion. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm going to next month when I get more credits. I'll do a live stream on Thursday, showing you how I sort of got those. But I'll be using different images from my own portfolio, so I'm not stealing anybody's work. I'm just using my own work to see how it works. So it shouldn't be any sort of red flags, hopefully. Right, what was I doing over here? Let's do some sculpting. So, as I said before, last week I kind of done the arm to a certain stage. We could probably go further with the arm, to be fair, or with the detailing, but just going to keep it like that for now. And just move down the leg instead. Should actually name these. It'd be actually better if I name these in the layer section. So this would just be a little bit of noise on the leg to give that sort of skin texture. Now I'm doing one at a time because they are slightly asymmetrical. So just going to keep it that way and just make them some asymmetrical. By the way, I don't know if you watched the latest time-lapse video on my YouTube, but I do have something to say about that a little later on, or maybe just now. Oh, wait a second, got a question here from Hamid. Hamid, sorry, saying if you were going to learn another software, which one would it be? Well, it's funny you say that because I am currently in my job, my 9-to-5 job. I'm learning how to use Marvelous Designer, which is very, very different to anything I've ever seen in 3D before. I like it. Once you start getting used to it, you start to like it more. But when you first look at it, you think, wow, I don't know what is going on. How do you even make garments and stuff like that? But you kind of have to have a different mindset when using Marvelous Designer, I found. Instead of doing things like I'm doing now, using a paintbrush like a sculpting tool, Marvelous Designer is nothing like that. Marvelous Designer is a how can I say this? It is basically a fashion program. It's the best way I could say it. What you're doing is you're creating garments for 3D models inside of Marvelous Designer, right? So then you can take that model and then put that into ZBrush and then fix it and clean it up later. Yes, that's the one. Thank you, Marianne. It basically says you use cloth blueprints that become 3D. So if you imagine like a shirt or a pair of trousers, right? If you cut all the parts along the seams of the trousers or the shirt or, wherever there's a seam and you laid it out flat onto the table, you're basically drawing that, then you're sewing it in the 3D program Marvelous. You're basically sewing those back together once you've drawn it out flat, and then it simulates the clothing for you, the wrinkles and stuff like that. It's very, very cool. But yeah, it's essentially what it is a clothing tool or program in order for you to make garments, realistic looking garments for your characters. But as I said before, it's kind of tricky to get used to. But once you do get used to how things work, it's not so much getting used to the display or the UI or anything like that. Because if you worked in 3D enough, you'll kind of get used to how UIs are set up for programs. Even if it's completely different programs, you'll get used to how they set up fairly quickly. It's more about taking your time with Marvelous Designer and going very slow. You don't want to rush anything when you're inside of Marvelous Designer because it uses a simulation to make the clothing work and make all those wrinkles. Sometimes if you rush things with it, it can crash the program. And you have to be very careful with the sliders. You don't want to use too much of an effect or too little of it. Well, too much of an effect, right? Because it could blast the simulation like completely out of whack or give you the completely wrong looking wrinkles on the shirt or on a pair of trousers or something like that. So you really want to take your time with something like Marvelous Designer in a nutshell. But yeah, apart from that, I think I have kind of got a little bit of knowledge in all the other ones, apart from maybe Houdini. I think Houdini would be quite cool, but that is a very complex program to learn. When you first start off, obviously when you get better, it becomes easier. But yeah, Marvelous Designer. If I can nail Marvelous Designer, like really get good at it, then I'm sure that I could be hired at these big companies like the ones who do Call of Duty or the games companies and stuff like that. Those big kind of companies. If you have skills in Marvelous Designer, you're pretty much a hireable artist, really, because Marvelous Designer speeds up the process as well. If you think how long it takes to sculpt a pair of trousers off, whereas if you can simulate it and get a base model out and then sculpt on top of that, and you've got skills in both, then you're a key artist to have in the studio. Miriam, how do I say your name? I'm just Marianne. Yeah. When I started stitching is the part when getting a bit confused. Yeah, there's different techniques for stitching inside of Marvelous, and if you don't do it correctly, you can kind of stitch the wrong side, a wrong point to the other wrong point on the garment, and it will just twist it and make it completely wrong. But again, taking your time to think about the next stage or the next step when you're using Marvelous Designer is key for getting on with that program. Hamid says, I know the basics of Marvelous Designer. It's very easy to learn. Yeah, exactly. It's when you start getting into those more nitty-gritty things like making puffer jackets, like the stitchings and stuff like that, all the different types of stitchings you can make to make the crinkles and wrinkles bunch up better or more realistically. That's when it starts to get more complex. Right. Standard brush. See if I can add some more of these alphas in here. Yeah, so I've kind of come to the end of the year really when it comes to working on stuff for YouTube, basically the time-lapse videos. And I think I've come to a sort of a point in this career, this journey on YouTube, where I'm not really getting any further with it, really. Not to say I'm not, grateful for the people who have sponsored or like my work or anything like that, but it's a lot of work for very little turnaround, or for very little turnaround, really. And I only started doing the YouTube thing because of lockdown, right? It was never really supposed to be a massive sort of encroachment on like something that I would do more full time, because I already have a full-time job, right? So the whole time-lapse thing was really cool and fun to do, but I can now, if I go into my YouTube analytics and stuff like that, I start to find that it's just not as big as it used to be, and for the amount of work that I have to put into and the amount of money I'm spending on programs to create videos, I think it's not really beneficial anymore. It's not to say I don't like doing these live streams. I'll tell you the thing, I prefer doing the live streams than I do actually making the time-lapse videos. It's more engaging and more interesting, and I get to talk to you guys as well, which is really fun. But yeah, so I think I'm going to take a break on making time-lapse videos, because as an artist, it becomes too what you can say, repetitive, and I'm kind of finding it very difficult to come up with like new ideas nearly every other week for a time-lapse video. And as I said before, the engagement on the videos that I create these days are just not there anymore. So I'm going to stop making I've decided next year I'm going to stop making time-lapse videos, right? In fact, I want to plan out the whole next year, really. So the idea is to stop making time-lapse videos, not completely stop, but stop making the ones every 2 weeks. I think if I do a time-lapse video in the future, it's going to be on a project that's much bigger. I don't know if you've watched the video that I made on how I created the Thing from Fantastic Four, but that's the kind of videos I think is going to be more beneficial for people rather than the time-lapse videos, because there's about 200 to 300 videos of time-lapse videos that I've created in the space of 4 years, something like that. So there's plenty of time-lapse videos, and as I said, it's repetitive. So if you watch them, they're normally the same all the time. It's just me sculpting something and then putting it through Photoshop, and then or through Keyshot, then Photoshop to composite later, right? But I think what people will be more interested in are longer videos, still time-lapse, but longer videos with my voiceover on the production of the model at various stages. So I created that video, like I said, I created that video, how I created the Thing from Fantastic Four. And that one really got a lot of views. It might be because it was a Fantastic Four creature, Ben Grimm. It might be been because of that, but I can't help wondering if it's also because it was like an artist talkover as I sculpted it, or as the production was going through. So, and also I showed more techniques like using Maya, Substance Painter, and Arnold Render as well in that video. I kind of brushed upon them, talked about them slightly as the time-lapse video was in the background. I think that would be more beneficial for people than just the straight up time-lapse videos that I've been making for the last 4 years. 4 years! Can you believe it's been 4 years since I've started this channel? And I think it took me about 3 years to get live stream going. So that's crazy. Kesa says, I don't think you've reached the cap on your channel. I just think you need to do a different approach. I think so as well. So I think the best thing for me is to stop making time-lapse videos, because I think people have seen enough of that now. They kind of get the gist of, the work that I can do. And I should start making more sort of tutorials, because I also want to make more tutorial stuff. And with the time-lapse videos in the past, I just haven't had time to actually make proper tutorials. And I think people would benefit more from proper tutorials than they would from the time-lapse videos. Even though time-lapse videos give you some inspiration, right? I feel like you can do what I can do now from the time-lapse videos, but I think what you might like is more actual tutorials on stuff. So that's what I want to plan and do as well. Make more tutorials, real-time tutorials. Hamid says, could you please tell me how to figure out how much to subdivide a model so there's not too much to make it heavy and not too little that the details look blocky and blurry? Yeah, so when it comes to subdividing, I've always sort of erred on the side of caution. I normally would stop at about 10 million polygons as my highest subdivision. It also depends on the kind of computer you have as well, and the processing power you have on your computer. But I always find that if you have 10 million polygons for a model, then that should be more than enough. If you have to go higher than that, then you're either making something that's really big and has a very dense topology count, or needs that topology count, or you've gone wrong and you've subdivided too many times. But the average polygon count that I would normally go for would be about 10 million. Again, if you're working on a film production, it will definitely be higher. But for game design, 10 million inside of ZBrush is more than enough for what you should make. And if it's split into, you could probably get away with it more if you had split model or split part of the model. So if you had a character with clothing, and other bits and bobs like different subtools, then you can have each of them have about 5 million polygons, depending on what it is that you're making. It also depends, like I said, yeah, that's a good thing. It also depends on what you're making. If you're making a watch for a character, right? So you got to imagine that watch is going to be so minuscule on your character. You don't need to go too much detail for that watch because most of the detail is going to be on the character, right? So you can probably get away with having less subdivisions for your watch than you could for your character. You kind of have to play it by ear with that as well. So if you find you had like a shoulder pad, you wouldn't make the shoulder pad 10 million polygons. You'd probably make that about 1 million polygons or 700,000 polygons. But for something like a shirt, right, you probably put that to about 3 to 4 million polygons. So you kind of have to balance it a little bit and figure out what is the best count for each individual item. Casey says, have you heard of Julia Gisela? Sorry, because if you could do shorts similar to hers, but for 3D instead of traditional art, I think your channel would blow up again. Blow up big, sorry. Yeah, possibly. I think I used to really want to get to 100,000 subscribers, right? That was my whole plan 4 years ago, is to see how fast I could get to 100,000 subscribers. But over the years now, knowing that, you know, I have a very niche market for what I do, I kind of came to the realization that it doesn't really matter how long it takes to get to 100,000, but it does matter in my head that for my own mental health, that I should, look after that first. And for the last two years, I think it's about 2 years, yeah, for the last 2 years, it's kind of been taking a little bit of a toll on my social health, my social health and my mental health. I'm not as socially active as I used to be, as I have to, make videos and do all these other things. And it's not like I'm a full-time content creator, like an actual job, right? I have actually got an actual job. This has just always been something to help or to, sort of inspire other people to carry on with their 3D work. But I don't do this for a living. So when I'm doing these things, it's kind of taking time away from what I could possibly do otherwise, like other things that I'd like to do. So yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, because I don't want to give up, but at the same time, if I carry on down this road for another 4 years, then I'm going to be like 39 years old with no future, like proper future, like having a family or anything like that. So I'm kind of getting to that point where I'm like, I really want to just get back to like a normality in life, which is kind of a difficult thing to say because of the sort of period of the world that we're in at the moment. Doesn't really fit with those kind of goals, with what's going on in the world right now. The AI and Britain in a nutshell. So it's kind of a hard thing to try to get your head around. And I should probably be making more content, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel. I don't feel like it's viable at the moment. Plus, like I said, I've been doing it for 4 years, for the last 4 years, non-stop. I'm running out of ideas. I'm running out of sort of mental abilities to do those types of videos. I don't mind doing these live streams because I love talking to you guys. I love hearing about, your opinions about stuff, and if I could help or anything like that. But yeah, the actual making those time-lapse videos, it takes a lot out of you. So the idea is to stop doing the live streams. Stop doing the time-lapse videos. Keep on with the live streams, so you'll still get the Thursday and the Monday ones. And there was something else I wanted to try out as well, which was I was looking online. I was thinking, because we talk about films a lot, or I do anyway, you guys just sort of sit there and give me your opinions. I was thinking maybe, because I was looking online, you know, as you do when you're bored, 100 best films, 100 films to watch before you die, right? And I went on IMDb's list of films to do. And I was thinking to myself, why can't we? Maybe we should, or I should, we should, well, I should, you should, we should do that. Like on the Thursday live streams, just have, or maybe a completely new live stream, right? Maybe just for members only or something. Do like a movie review and sculpt at the same time. So we'll start like a completely different project, and as we're sculpting, or as I'm sculpting it, we can talk about the film that we had to watch. So you have 100 films, so you probably watch one a night, and then the next day we'll talk about it whilst I sculpt, and you can also ask other questions about 3D and whatever. But I thought maybe that'd be quite cool to branch into that sort of thing, you know. JB3D Artists says, have you ever thought about that to sell 1 or 2 tutorials on Udemy? I know they usually make 2 big discounts, but I think it could boost the count of your followers and subscribers. Yeah, I mean, I don't quite know what to do, like selling stuff anymore, with the whole budget coming in on November the 26th, I think, for England, and how this government wants to sort of, you know, tax people for doing things, and I don't know where it will fall for people like me, who sells things online. So I'm kind of wary about adding more shops to the roster of shops that I already have. And yeah, so I'm not quite sure I'm ready to start looking into that. I have heard about Udemy in the past, but I'll keep that in mind just in case things aren't going to be as bad as the economists say in the UK. But everybody's kind of clutching at their pearls at the moment, waiting on bated breath for what's going to happen on the 27th. Casey says the important thing is adapting your videos to the brain rot, tiny attention span of you. Oh, I don't want to do that. Like I said, I don't have time in my life to sit there and, you know, decode YouTube on how it works and stuff. That's for people who are actual content creators, not for people who have like have to work a 9-to-5 job and learn how to do things in that, and then also have to come on YouTube and try to figure that out as well. It just seems like a lot of work. Casey also says more brain rot equals more attention equals more publicity, which equals more potential customers, which equals more sales. Yeah, you're right. That is, I don't know. I find the motivation to do that right now just not there at the moment. If there was another lockdown or something like that, I'm sure that, you know, it'll be a lot easier to get into this sort of thing and make another channel, or make this channel even better. Sculpt actors, creatures, monsters from the movies. Yeah, I mean, are you talking about the movies, 100 movies to watch before you die? Because I was thinking about that. I really want to do that, because like I said, we talk a lot about creatures and film creatures and stuff, or I do anyway. But it'd be really cool to have that as a sort of topic in these live streams. I think it'd be quite interesting to get opinions about that. Yeah, that's going to worry me, that. Just going to mask out this leg. Hey, tomorrow, nice to see you. Yeah, you haven't missed much. Just me rambling on about how I'm giving up on on things, on life. No, not really. Yeah, you haven't really missed that much. Just trying to sculpt this leg at the moment. So yeah. Also, in terms of planning, I want to, because I think my YouTube members get a lot out of the tutorials, right? I'm not sure if they get much out of the Thursday ones, these Thursday ones. So I was thinking of making these Thursday live streams like publicly viewable, because that could also help with engagement with my channel, because I find that if I leave these videos, like I've been leaving them for the last few weeks, if I leave these videos up for like 7 days or whatever, it gets a lot more engagement out of it than maybe some of my time-lapse videos, you know. So I had the idea of putting these Thursday ones and leaving these Thursday ones up as sort of freebies, and then just having the tutorial videos as members only. So they'll go. So the members, the Monday ones will be tutorials. They'll go live. They'll be able to watch for free. But instead of having it up for a week, they'll go straight into members only. And then the Thursday live streams, which are these ones, these chilled live streams, they will go up and be public and stay public. I think that is a pretty good idea. I want to know what you guys think, though. You think that would work? Kesa says, new lockdown is coming. Digital ID is on the... Oh, don't get me fucking started on that crap. Anyway, he also says, all I meant about the brain rot thing was changing the shot every couple seconds so the viewer is watching the same thing for extended... Yeah. I mean, there's so many videos that I could splice up and, you know, do all different types of compositing of these time-lapse videos to make them look different every time. I could probably just flood YouTube, but then it's going to be slop, really. And like you said, it's going to be slop. Joseph Bonkowski, there you go. Your name's up there proper now. Says, sounds good strategy, I think. Good, yeah. Kater says, isn't watching the same thing for extended periods. Isn't watching the same thing for an extended periods. I don't know what. Oh, you mean there? Okay. So he says, all I meant about the brain rot thing was changing the shot every couple of seconds so the viewer isn't watching the same thing for extended periods. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on on YouTube. But I think I heard or I saw somewhere on another video that YouTube is becoming more and more filled with just absolute slop, like video slop, like AI stuff, you know, AI generated rubbish and advertisements. He says with new AI videos in his chat box, but yeah, apparently YouTube is becoming more and more filled with it, and people are getting more and more annoyed by it, and kind of, you know, wanting YouTube to stop doing what they're doing. But it's like advertisement or whatever for YouTube or free marketing or whatever. I don't know. There's so much slop going on in everything these days. It's just difficult to keep up with it, really. Okay, so says, if you think about it, really, the reason films are so entertaining is because the shot changes every couple of seconds. If it showed the same thing with no camera angle changes, it would be boring. I agree and I disagree, right? I agree that using more shots makes it more entertaining because that's kind of the action film sort of genre, right? You use multiple shots for an action scene. If you ever seen like how they made it on action films and how the car chases are made and stuff like that, if you actually step back away from the camera and you see the whole thing in its entirety, the cars are very slow, the action is very slow, it's all methodically placed and all, you know, so it doesn't look like it will hurt anybody. But then when you put all the cameras, or you look through the lens of all the cameras, and they cut it and splice it in specific ways, they can make the car look like it's going 100 miles per hour with a person hanging out the side of it shooting a gun, and the car's blowing up in the foreground when they're actually in the background in reality. You know, that's a good use of multiple cameras to film one scene, right? But then you get slop in action films, like, I might piss off a lot of people here, but Taken 3 with Liam Neeson. Have you guys seen that? There's one specific scene or events in that film. It's a scene. Yeah, it's a scene where he is literally jumping over a fence, and there's like 10 different camera angles of him just climbing over a fence. Because Liam Neeson's quite old, right? We can all agree Liam Neeson is quite old. He was old when he did Taken, the first Taken, to be fair. He was old when he did Star Wars Episode 1, right? And so he's not the most spry of people. If you actually watch him run in real life, I think you can find that he's quite slow. It's nothing against him, you know, he's an old lad. But the way that they tried to make him look young and energetic in that shot was just crazy. He just looks so out of his depth in that film, or in many of these like action films that he's in nowadays. It's just his age, I guess, but that's a sort of bad use of changing camera angles like every 5 seconds or every second in an action film or in film in general. Casey says, there are some exceptions to the rule, like 1917 film or whatever it's called. Yes, I agree. Was it 1917? Was it 1918? The one with the continuous camera movement throughout the whole of the film. Those ones I love the best. It's kind of like that horror series on Netflix, The Haunting of Blythe Manor, I think it was called, where they had that one scene when they're at the mortuary, and was it Blythe Manor or was it the other one? I can't remember. There's a few of them that they made, and they had that one scene or that one episode where it was a continuous camera movement going from person to person and showing the story as it went about. That is a great use of camera storytelling, using that as a technique. Miriam says, I think after ZBrush was acquired by Maxim and perpetual licenses are no longer sold, more people switch to Blender. Yeah. I agree. Blender has seen an uptake in artists using it and indie studios using it. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind as well. I think I saw an article. Sorry, I saw an article online about ZBrush changing the UI of ZBrush, or they're thinking of changing the UI of ZBrush. I think that's going to be interesting. I don't use 2025 personally, but I do use it at work, so that would be interesting to figure out, to see what they're going to do about that. I reckon it's another reason they're doing it is because, well, A, the UI in ZBrush is very old and probably does need updating, to be fair. But B, they probably realize that a lot of people are still using their perpetual licenses, and they kind of want to pull ZBrush away from the old ways so that the new people, or the people who are going to be new artists, will learn the new layout, UI layout, and that will be the norm. And basically, they're trying to make the perpetual license, I think they're trying to make the perpetual license people obsolete, because they can't control those people. They can't have their subscriptions, can they? It's kind of shady. Tomorrow says 1917, Adolescence, Rope, Birdman, Silent House, etc. Yeah. And that episode of True Detective. I haven't seen that one. Kater says, I noticed one of your most popular time-lapse videos was the Carnage from Venom. I'm pretty sure you released that around the time Carnage released. Maybe do more like that. Yeah, I think so as well. What I think I need to do is I need to figure out what films are coming out and when they're coming out in the future, and then create a sculpt for that film, you know, like for that sort of film. I agree. I think the ones that do the best are the ones that sort of tie in with the most popular thing that's happening. Or maybe that's how it used to be, because I don't know what YouTube's algorithms are these days. I don't think anybody who's a YouTube creator or YouTuber exactly knows what's going on with their algorithms. They're kind of all over the place, and you know, they change every other month, it seems. So it's kind of difficult to keep up with it if you're not constantly in the know with YouTube. Oh, Casey says, I think they're going to make it more like the iPad version. Not sure though. Oh, fair enough. Miriam says, yes, there is a few videos and they speak about it on ZBrush Summit. Great. Casey says, all comes down to money now. Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, I think it always has been money. Joseph says, speaking about engagement, back in the day, that free spawn video, voice over video on YouTube, you lead me to your Patreon and our station store. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing I'm talking about, right? That's the sort of thing I want to do more of. I think the whole time-lapse thing, I kind of put that in my mind because they were doing so well like years ago. That was what people wanted to watch, right? Was just the time-lapse videos. And then over time, it wasn't the case. I think people are more interested in watching videos with explanation when doing this sort of stuff. Now that they've sort of, you know, seen a lot of the time-lapse video stuff, maybe you guys are going to be more interested in the future with speaking videos. So that's my plan, is to make better art at the same time, right? Because I kind of noticed that my art is sort of getting a little sloppy. I'm kind of becoming a little sloppy when it comes to artwork. And I think it's also because I'm trying to keep up with the next video for next week, you know, that sort of thing. And it gets harder and harder as I have to constantly think of new models and concepts to come up with. Which is why I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of happy with this sort of approach, like this sort of thing that we're doing right now. Like I'm sculpting a creature, and we're talking. But I love doing like more sort of slower sculpts, and really taking my time with them and thinking about things. So yeah. Kixer says, maybe do bigger projects as well, like more than just sculpts. Yeah. Miriam says, new kids grow up on iPads and touchscreens, so they try to change it for new artists. You try iPad with it limited. You try iPad with is limited, and you go buy the PC version. So UI need to be same for easy switch. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're definitely right. And Toxin tutorial. Yeah. I think you're right. You're all right. Just changing times, I guess. And again, I want to, I want to reclaim some of my social life as well, and reclaim some of my own personal life back. There's so many things that I'd love to do more of outside of 3D, working in 3D for a full-time job, and then actually doing more 3D as well. It becomes very monotonous, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and I love films. I don't get enough time to watch movies nowadays, and that's the one thing I would love to do more of, is just sit back after working all week and just watch films and and that sort of thing. Yeah. Casey says, for some constructive criticism, just based on looking at performance on other people's VFX related videos, I think you need to work on the video titles and thumbnails. This is what Mr. Beast perfected. Yeah. I thought for my version, when I first started, I thought, how are people going to find my artwork in a sea of people who are trying to do the same thing, right? And I thought if I kept the thumbnail very similar to every other thumbnail, then it could be more specific to my channel. And so that's why I just kept it. That's why I just kept it the same the whole time. Tomorrow says basically more clickbait. Yeah, you know what? I could probably go back and from those and just create new thumbnails, like you say, more clickbaity thumbnails, for all the old videos, and just update the video, update the thumbnail, and they'll probably get more views because it'll be a new thumbnail. I think what also helped it earlier on was that YouTube used to have used to use the hashtags or stuff like that, right? So the hashtag would actually help people find the videos. But since I think it was 2 years ago, they declared that hashtags don't actually do anything. So they could help. They help with people who find it difficult to find videos. They could help. It helps with the words, like picking out the words for that video. But apart from that, it doesn't actually get you views or anything like that. So I think them changing ideas of how people find videos has actually made it more difficult for my channel in particular. And I think that's also because a lot of people are trying to become YouTube creators or content creators. And so YouTube has become flooded, right, with people who want to do this as a full-time job. And so they had to come up with restraints, I guess, for people being able to find or use videos or whatever. Being able to create videos and get their videos seen. Because if you watch a lot of these old YouTubers who are still around and you watch them and they talk about the good old days of YouTube before it became massively popular, they would say they'd get millions or hundreds and thousands of views a week on simple videos because of the lack of limitations when it came to finding videos online, and also the lack of people on YouTube because it wasn't as big back then. And they would get big money. There was a lot of money in YouTube back in the day if you could make a video that could go pretty big. And that's just because YouTube didn't have a handbrake on the on the search algorithms and stuff like that. But now that there's so many people, they kind of have to pull back on the ability for people to find videos and stuff like that. So a lot more channels aren't getting views like they used to. And so the whole thing is just a bit of a mess, to be fair. Case says, yeah, there's more competition now as well because people's video editing skills have skyrocketed. They've only skyrocketed because they don't have to do as much editing. I think the people who, like artists like me or you guys, if you had to, well, I always created videos from scratch with all my own overlays. I still do it today. I still make my own overlays and stuff like that. But it's so easy to go into something like Canvas, which I do use for thumbnails because it's just easier that way. Oh, that's another thing I could probably. Oh no, I still need it. Because Canvas is just it's a quick way to make content, right? Like thumbnails and stuff like that, or maybe even editing videos. You can do that in there as well. But I always had this. I always wanted to kind of keep it simple when it came to my videos. I didn't want to have to rely on someone else to make the videos, so I kind of had to learn it all myself in the end. But yeah, you can find programs just like I just said, Canva, where you can go in there, you can pay a couple of, or about £100 or £200 a year to use their editing software through the online portal, and make videos that way. It's really not that difficult. And with TikTok and anything like that, you don't even have to edit videos. You can just upload straight away. You don't have to worry about splicing or cutting videos together like I have for my time-lapse videos. That's another thing that takes a long time, and a reason why I want to stop doing it for a while is the editing is just, it's a mission to get through. So I think for next year, I'm going to stop making the time-lapse videos. I'm going to focus more on giving you better live streams and also creating more content to sell online. more tutorials and stuff like that. Miriam says people just scroll shorts videos. Yeah, they do. I'm guilty for that. I don't do it as much now, but I used to just sit there, especially if you're like on the toilet or if you're in bed at night and you just want to watch something for like 5 seconds, and you just start to doom scroll, and before you know it, it's bloody 2 hours later, and you've lost all sense of time. But yeah, I don't think short videos actually give you that much money. To be fair, they don't really make that much money unless you get like millions of views on a video. I don't think actually shorts do that much, to be fair. Although Kesa says edited short videos are pretty much the biggest market leads right now. They are if you have a lot of people watching. If you can make a viral video with a short video, then you're golden. But it'll take you. How many videos do you reckon it would take to go viral? You know, how many people have done it and are still waiting on that one video to make them go viral? It's not worth the squeeze, to be fair. YouTube Shorts receive over 200 billion views per day, and it's a significant increase from previous years, according to statistics. It's only because attention spans are so much lower. Everybody's saying a gold mine. Casey says a gold mine. Casey also says maybe take a break and then go down to once a month rather than a week. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I also want to make like I kind of want to go into more hard surface stuff like mechs or armor plating on characters and stuff like that. So I think those things you can't rush, right? You can't rush hard surface sculpting inside of ZBrush. So I think doing that is going to be more fun to watch as well as more interesting to watch. And like I said, I want to do it as a time lapse, like a artist commentary time lapse. So you get then the idea of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, whilst you kind of watch it unfold, basically. Miriam says, I'm same, doom scrolling while waiting for my son to fall asleep. Damn. Keiko says, the shorts themselves aren't the gold mine, but the publicity they get are. Yeah, fair enough. Miriam, can you imagine can you guys just imagine what it was like without YouTube, without these things in our pockets, like, what was it, 20, 30 years ago, something like that? I can't remember what I was doing whilst I was, just waiting on someone or waiting for something to happen, because I can't go even one day now without having to know what's going on YouTube or in the news or anything like that. I don't know, were we happier or were we just sort of sleeping, because we didn't really know what was going on at the time. Carry on down this leg. Miriam says, yes, need to go around the hood to find my friends and check all the spots. Yeah, exactly. I remember when I was a kid with a bicycle, right? When we used to go out on a bicycle around the village, and you'd take your mobile phone with you, and it was a Nokia 3310. And I remember them being very expensive back in the day. And my parents would be like, they'd be all against me having one of these Nokia 3310s, which had nothing on it really. It was just a brick which you could phone home with. It had Snake, obviously it had Snake, but it was like that for my parents' generation. that was their version of you can't let your kids watch TikTok, or the sort of or go on the iPad for 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day. It was as bad as that for my parents, but it was literally a brick with a green screen with just black writing on it, or text on it, a cubic text on it. And I was just thinking to myself, that was the pinnacle of technology at the time. And if you were a kid and you didn't have one of those god-awful phones, which were basically indestructible, you felt like you were, left out in society. But could you just imagine what the kids of next year's kids, or the kids of the future, are going to be like if they don't have their iPhone, I don't know, their iPhone 20 with bloody a bell on it, but just to make it look different or whatever. I mean, it's just crazy. Like Nokia 3310s back in the day were seen as the worst thing to happen to society, And if you go even further back, like in Stranger Things, I think it was season 5, when they were talking on the news on the film about Dungeons and Dragons being the gateway to devil worship and stuff. That was a true thing back in the day. And you look at the Mortal Kombat game, when in the 90s, pixelated horror, or pixelated violence basically was a taboo thing, and it was the biggest thing in the news. I mean, if they only see what the hell we watch today or we play today in video games, I think those people back then would have a knipschkid fit, They'd just be absolutely flabbergasted by what we actually watch today, rather than what they thought was bad back then. Casey says, it's quite bad how far we've got glued to our devices now. Yeah. I mean, that's just it. This thing's going to be around until you die now. So get used to it. Tomorrow says, I'm so old. I used to use an actual typewriter, but then I graduated to ZX Spectrum. Wow. Typewriter. Really? Yeah, I think my parents had typewriters. Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. Could you imagine being someone from, well, you can't because you are, but you imagine growing up from a typewriter to something you could tap on a screen. It's crazy. Casey says society's going downhill for real. Well, yeah, society is, but technology is just going up. Hey, Amon, hiya. Hope I'm not too late. Oh, don't worry, we're just having a trip, basically a what do you call it? A get together of ideas, I guess you could call it, or reminiscing on the past and what's going wrong in the future. Kato says, bro, iPhone 20 with 42 cameras can't. Oh my god, really? What are you going to do with 42 cameras? What you can't do with one? I think this thing's got about 3 cameras on it, and I would only use one. I don't even use it sometimes. Miriam says, I remember my father get the PC 486 computer with DOS. We even didn't have Windows for home. We get it 2 years later when it came out. Wow. Yeah, that's old school. Remember the dial-up tone? Oh, that was horrendous. And then some bugger picked up the phone in the other room and it went out. The internet went out. Miriam says he gets it from Germany. It was among the first PCs in the hood. Wow. Miriam's from Macedonia. No, nice one. Yeah, you start saying the hood, Macedonia. Kesa says, my point exactly. Why are there so many cameras, bro? I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I have a Sony Xperia 10. I think I've had about 5 to 6 years now. I just can't bother to get a new phone because I think I saw past the bullshit. of what do you call it? I don't want to say it's not capitalism's not for me anyway. My thoughts are capitalism isn't bullshit, but what they sort of spew onto young people can be. Like, I remember when you had to have a new phone every time you bought a new contract. That was the idea, right? You would buy a phone and you'd have 2 years contract with that phone. And then when you got a new contract, you'd automatically buy a new phone at the same, or get a new phone at the same time. Now, if you have a phone like this phone, right? This phone was a 2-year contract phone. I've had it now 6 years, and all I've done is just change the contract. I've managed to save hundreds, maybe thousands, no, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of pounds, simply because I just updated the contract and I didn't update the phone. The phone can last much longer than you think it can. I know that today's society, today's world, we have, they purposely make stuff to break, basically. So when the warranty's up, after 2 years, it'll give it another year and it will break. But if you look after your stuff, like I look after my phone, right? I don't know how many of you other guys out there have a phone. I've never dropped a phone. I've never put it in my back pocket. I've never every time I buy one, I buy a case and I buy a screen protector. The amount of people I see, young people that are on their 8th phone because they dropped it or they sat on it in their back pocket and it snapped. I'm just thinking to myself, you realize that's like £1,000 phone that you have in your pocket, or more expensive or less expensive, something like that. You're supposed to have that for a good 6 years, and you decide not to protect it every way you can. I don't get it. I do not get it. Tomorrow says, when I was in hospital in the 80s, the staff wheeled a BBC micro into the ward for us to play the latest game on Pac-Man. Oh my God. Well, I hope you're all right, mate, for 80s. Yeah, BBC Micro. Jesus. Miriam, we used to rent games. If you get it in Friday, you have 1 day extra. They didn't work in Sundays. You mean Blockbuster, right? I think everybody had a Blockbuster. I can remember, oh God, could you imagine having Blockbuster back? How great that would be. Oh, you never know what you had until you've lost it. Casey says, please actually drop it in a few minutes. It would be hilarious. Thanks, mate. Yeah, never dropped it once. Never. Still clean screen and everything. Miriam says, what is your first game you played on PC? Mine is Doom and Warcraft 2. I played... So the first game I can remember that we got for a PC that could handle the 3D sort of software or graphics that could handle the game was something called Redneck. Oh, what was that called? Can anyone help me with this? It was something like Redneck something. Let me just try and find it online. 1 second. Redneck game 90s. Redneck Rampage. That's the one. I'll bring us over. This game. Redneck Rampage. 1997, first-person shooter game developed by Xtrix Entertainment and published by Interplay. The game has a hillbilly theme, primarily taking place in a fictional Arkansas town. Many of the weapons and power-ups border on the nonsensical, and in some ways the game is parody of both first-person shooter games and blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Yeah, that's the first one we got, and it was an absolute piece of shit. The first console game I think we had was the PlayStation 1, and it was Tekken 3 and Crash Bandicoot. You don't remember that? Don't worry, it was a pile of rubbish. It was basically redneck brothers. They were two brothers, and the farm that you worked on, or the area you lived, was getting invaded by aliens, and you had to try and find them and kill them. It was weird. Casey says, I wasn't born yet. Well, you're lucky, because that was the sort of thing that I played. And I tell you what, that one was, I was 7 years old when we got that. And that was an R-rated game at 7 years old. We were playing R-rated games. If you played it now, you'd think to yourself, this is not an R-rated game. This is just a pile of crap. Yeah. Casey says, one of the first games I played was Scooby-Doo Mystery Mayhem on PS2. Wow. And how was that for you? Thanks, Mum and Dad. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I don't think they realized how bad it was, to be fair, because, I mean, it was a computer game, and when you look at the box of the damn thing, it was, it looked quite tame. US Votes Online says, my parents got me and brother Duke Nukem 3D. It was not for kids. Haha, was awesome. Yeah, that's definitely not a family-friendly game, I guess. Miriam says, yeah, we get like 5 to 6 PlayStation, and my brother opened game shop where you play PlayStation. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember going to the shops and playing on consoles in the shops. Casey says, thought it was pretty good, to be honest. To be fair, there was one level where you were on a minecart, and had to dodge and weave. Took me ages to complete it. That's another thing, isn't it? Like, video games back in the day were much more difficult to, well, I guess they were much more difficult because we were much younger. We kind of didn't realize the patterns of video games or whatever. But they were much harder to play and to actually, finish. Nowadays, they kind of hold your hand every time you, well, some games. I mean, there are other games that don't, but those are few and far between, aren't they, really? But yeah, a lot of these games today are they're just basically walking you through it, really. They're not really giving you the experience of playing a video game. Joseph Bukowski says, Wolfenstein 3D, the first one. Wow. Got some old people in the chat. Miriam says, hardest game was the old, yes, the Disney Lion King game. I think I played that once. That was difficult. I'll tell you what was another one was difficult, was that, what was it called? I'll have to give you a second. Well, Lara Croft, any of the Lara Croft games were pretty difficult, the first ones, because it was a third-person shooter game, and you couldn't really aim properly, and you had to dodge, dive, and duck, creatures and stuff like that, and you couldn't really aim the guns properly. Kater says, that's one reason why I like Minecraft. You're left on your own, on no hand holding, and can do whatever you want. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I just wasn't as big a fan of Minecraft. I think it's the visuals for me. It seemed to me to be very, very basic. And then, I don't know. I think I'm just someone who likes a lot of detail. So when you get a game like Minecraft, which is basically mostly cubes, right? With really colorful cubes and stuff, it doesn't appeal to me as much as something more realistic. So yeah, I never got into it. Miriam says, the funniest and original was Earthworm Jim and Lost Vikings. Watch my bro play it. Yes, Earthworm Jim. That would be an amazing sculpt to make. Earthworm Jim. There was also that Odyssey. Anyone else see that Odyssey game? What was that? Hold on. We're going back in time, guys. We're going back in time. Is it Odyssey or was it? Oh, what was that? Shit, I can't remember now. Oh, I can't remember. Can you guys remember what it was called? Can't remember what it was called. Basically, it's a 2D platform game, and you're a little alien who's trying to free other aliens. I can't remember what it's called. They just recently made a remake of it. We see recent, it's about 2 years ago. Amon says, dude, Unreal Tournament and Warcraft 3, Frozen, Thorin was a good era. Everybody likes Unreal Tournament. Warcraft, I played Warcraft. Was it Warcraft? Yeah, World of Warcraft, yeah. Oh, that's it. Thanks, Joseph. Abe's Odyssey, that's the one. That was a fun game. Difficult, but fun. Yeah, Tournament and Warcraft 3. Warcraft, I played Warcraft. I played the 30-day free trial, and I swore to myself after that I would never play World of Warcraft again. It was my first year at university, and we were sharing a house. There's 4 of us sharing a house. So because we couldn't get into dorms, so we had to share a house. And I had just bought myself, I just bought myself the first Alienware laptop, and that thing was heavy. I still have it today. It's massive and heavy, but it could run anything you could back in the day. So my housemate, she had a boyfriend who played World of Warcraft, and so she got into it. So we both decided to do like a 30-day free trial of World of Warcraft, and we were sitting in the lounge for 30 days just playing World of Warcraft. It was literally like one of those skits that you might see online or on TVs, right? TV shows where you see the person and they are covered in food packets, and they're wrapped up and they smell and they haven't washed for days. It's basically what I did. I played World of Warcraft for 30 days and I lost track of time. And once I finished playing it for 30 days, I vowed to myself that I'd never play it again, because it's very addictive. So I decided I'm never going to do it again. But my housemate, she decided to keep going, and it was just like, no, I'm all right, thanks. Casey says, best PS2 game was Simpsons Hit and Run, the kids version of GTA. GTA, laugh at that. Yeah, I agree. That was a good game. Tamara says, Unreal Tournament 2004, incredible. Everybody likes that game. Marion says, Baldur's Gate 198 come out and spend days and night watching my bro playing. I was shocked how he did it again. I was shocked how he did it again. How he did it. Sorry, I can't read sometimes. Cakester says, I had the exact same opinion when someone suggested Minecraft to me, that I gave it a play, gave in and played it. Loved it ever since. Yeah, I can't do that because I've got when it comes to things like that, I've got a very addictive personality, and if I start doing that, I'm just gonna lose my life. It's basically like the stuff that I do for 3D. It became addictive to me. It's not a good thing to be so addicted to things like this. Joseph asked, did you play Jazz Jack Rabbit? No, don't think so. Let me look it up. Jazz Jack Rabbit. No, I never played that. No. I recognize the characters though. It must have been on posters or something I must have seen when I was younger. Miriam says, we had a lot of fun with Worms, few friends, one PC, and a lot of laughs. Yeah. That is actually one of the fun ones, because I remember playing with my brother and playing with other people. We'd always give each other at least 3 turns to build some kind of construction, and then we'd start to shoot at each other. US Votes Online says, thankfully my family was super frugal and they wouldn't give me money for a monthly WoW sub. Saved my life, probably. Oh, monthly World of Warcraft sub. Sorry. Wow. Yeah, they probably did save your life. Not dissing anybody who plays World of Warcraft. If you like it, it's fine by me. You do you, man. But as I said, addictive personality, you should definitely not play that game or take it too seriously. There's a TV show from Channel 4. I don't know if any of you guys are from other places in the world, but it was a TV sitcom, comedy called Dead Pixels on Channel 4. If you go on channel4.com, you can probably find it on there, the TV series. Channel 4 Plus or Channel 4 More 4, I can't remember what it's called. But you can find that, and that is it's a comedy show about housemates and their friend who play a version of a World of Warcraft game. You can't call it World of Warcraft because it's copyright, but they basically do like a small short comedy, like 2 seasons of these people playing this video game and taking it way too seriously, but it's very funny. I'd highly recommend people go see it. It's called Dead Pixels on Channel 4. Casey says, if you get too addicted, you could always just karate kick your PC. I could, if I could. I mean, I used to do karate, but I don't know if I could lift my leg that high anymore. Getting old, man. I'll probably just throw it out the window instead. Yeah. Wow. Anybody? Oops. Tara says, anyone remember Game Master on Channel 4? I don't remember that. No, I don't think I do. How old is it? That's what we should be asking. 1990s. Well, I was literally born in 1990, so depends. I mean, I was living in South Africa, so I wasn't living in England, so we had totally different TV shows from other people. So probably have to refer to someone else, unfortunately. Kesa says, did you end up finishing the trace? Yes, I did. And I could have, I think I saw that coming a mile away with the traitors. I think I can vaguely remember saying to my dad, I bet you anything it's going to be him that wins it, because it was just too obvious that it was going to be him, But yes, I did, and it was brilliant. I like that sort of TV show. Yeah. Miriam says, was addicted to World of Warcraft. We had guild with 20 people from my town. Wow. Half of my family played it till Wrath of Lich King. Need to grind 15 to 20k gold for 1 month. 1 month. Time for 1 account. We had 3. Oh my god. That's crazy, man. Yeah, I can't think of doing that sort of thing. It's just too much to contemplate, like all that time spent on something like that. I'm kind of in this mindset, and have been for a long time now. Maybe it's the people I watch on YouTube and what they have to say about things, but I kind of find my time very precious at the moment, right? So if I find myself with spare time in the day, I immediately start to wonder if I've actually done everything I need to do for the day, or have I worked to the full capacity that I could for that day. So hence why I'm constantly making videos, or I'm constantly improving skills or trying to improve my skills, because for me it's all about, is there someone else out there that is 2 steps ahead of me, and how can I get further ahead of them before they can go further. That's kind of how my mind works. I don't think it's very healthy, but it's kind of just how I kind of feel a lot of the time. Am I outdoing the next person, or am I outdoing myself in some cases? Or can I do something that will be better later, make my life better later? So I don't spend a lot of time relaxing, if you know what I mean. I mean, that's just how it's always been for me. I just can't relax. There's always something else I could be doing. Gator says, I don't know how they kept him in when he clearly forgot he had a shield. When he nearly said, when they asked him, are you a traitor? And he literally just went, he literally went no, and then started to laugh. I can't believe they couldn't figure it out from that. I mean, I know he's a comedian, and he, that's his sort of a way that he comes across. But when you're playing traitor, come on, man. You shouldn't be able to see him coming a mile away. But he did well. He did very well. Certainly better than I could ever do. I think you have to kind of a certain kind of mindset for that sort of deceptiveness, or deception. Deception, is that the word? In order to be able to play that game, I think I'd fail straight away. And Miriam says, yes, so much wasted time, and now I try to learn 3D. I understand the process, just need practice, learn all the muscles, where is where. Yep, exactly. As I said, the industries at the moment are not faring too well. So if you're not someone that's constantly trying to update your skills, or show that you are willing to go above and beyond, then you might just be left behind, unfortunately. Especially with all that competition out there at the moment, from people who have lost their jobs in the industry recently, who are trying to find jobs, and they are very much are very good at what they do, and it's just a shit show at the moment in some places. So if you feel like this is the sort of thing you want to do, and you want to make something out of this, then be prepared to work 10 times harder than you ever have, unfortunately. Kisa says, do you mind explaining more about the new budget? Think you were talking about when selling online products with new government rules. Yeah, so I think everybody who's in England at the moment is a bit weary. Is a bit weary about what's going on government-wise with the budget that's looming in November, end of November, and so there could be more. Well, we don't know what the government's doing at the moment, right? We can only speculate what they are going to do, taxes wise and stuff like that. But in any case, if they decide to go the bad route and put up taxes for people who are maybe making a side hustle, which is kind of what I'm doing. I'm doing a full-time job as well as a side hustle. If they decide to go a certain way the taxes, then it basically makes it pointless for me to, at some stage, it will just make it pointless for me to keep carrying on, because I will essentially be working to pay the taxes on everything that I sell. At least some estimates say 40, 45, but at least 40 to maybe 30 to 40% will just be taxed. And so if I put my prices up, I'm going to get less revenue because it'll be too expensive for some people. I never really wanted to make it expensive for people, hence why my prices have never gone up really extensively. I kind of wanted people to, I wanted to, make it affordable for people to learn to sculpt and learn 3D and use my products for that sort of intent. But it's the whole UK taxes and the way this government is running right now. I'm guessing nobody, it could be some people, but a lot of people aren't really that happy with what's going on. So I'm gonna have to think about things, and if it might mean that I have to increase the prices of some items, but I don't know. It could be that I completely turn off from doing it, because they want us to now do this thing called MTD, which is make tax digital, right? And it's not just for builders, electricians, and people who own small businesses. It's for everybody who gets money outside of PAYE. And what that means is, what it used to mean, is that you do one tax return per year for the whole year, right? But with this Make Tax Digital proposal, or not proposal, it's actually in effect, we're basically being told now that I have to put forward every 4 months, every quarter, I have to submit my tax update or taxes to the government. And it's just another thing to worry about, right? It's just another thing to have to sit back every quarter and fill in a form and get the spreadsheets and all this other stuff so that you don't get fined £100 if you miss it, right? Now, for me, you're probably thinking, well, you don't sell that much because, it's just a hobby on the side. You're probably just getting a couple of quid here and there every week. And that's fair enough. I can understand that. But what it's doing is it's making it impossible for people who are actual small businesses to work, really. Because They now have to sit back every quarter with their accountant, or if they're doing it by themselves, they have to sit down every quarter and fill in more tax reports. And for me, that's just bullshit. And to be fair, it's making entrepreneurship in England impossible. I think everybody knows that from watching the news. You know how many entrepreneurs are now left England or left Britain to find other places because of the taxes that might be the tax rules that are coming down in November. For those lucky few who can make it or get out of England, then I'm happy for them. But for the rest of us who stay, it's going to be grim. Casey says, so in other words, it's for ripping you and everybody else off. Yeah, pretty much. Miriam says the UK's national debt was approximately 2.9 trillion as of September 2025, equivalent to about 96% of GDP, but some reports cite it as high as 2.916 trillion. Yeah, I mean, it's a shit show, to be fair. Miriam says this level of debt is historically high. They need to tax more and more. Well, yeah. There's three things they could do. I've watched some people from podcasts, people who are actually economists and stuff like that. And there's one or two things, maybe three things they could do. They can up the taxes, which will drive people away from investing in England, or they can cut down on expenditure, but then they're going to have a lot of angry people at their door with pitchforks. So they're kind of screwed, to be fair, on the options they have. Casey says the global population is in debt. Don't know who the fuck for, since we're the only ones on the planet. Yeah, who would we actually pay? Who is the person who's getting all this debt, all this money from us? You know. Miriam says a record number of millionaires are leaving the UK, with projections for 2025 suggesting an outflow of 16,000 high net worth individuals. And you're right. You're probably right, because I've seen the same figures. And the problem with that is when the millionaires leave, then it'll trickle down to the next people, which will be the middle class or working class people, to pay those taxes because they can't escape. All right. And so we're kind of left in a pretty bad situation come the end of November. Yeah. We'll just have to wait and see. I can't see it being any good from the forecast that I've been watching for the last year now, from news reports to podcasts to ex-prime ministers or chancellors and, you know, this and that and everything else. It doesn't look good. Casey says, why are they gonna stay in the UK when it's shithole? Crime is at an all-time high and taxes are ridiculously high compared to everywhere else. Yeah, no, yeah. It's just the hand we're dealt. I don't want to get too much bogged down into the nitty-gritty of politics. I'd love to, but can't really say a lot about it. Hence, you know, people might get offended or whatever, but it's just not looking good at the moment. And yeah, just have to wait and see, I guess. Mary says it's the same all over Europe. It's even worse in some places. I think France is on the same tipping point as England at the moment. Casey says the government could solve the problem if they wanted to, but they don't want to. I think even the government's hands are tied, to be fair. that's just my opinion. I think they're all sort of in the same boat at the end of the day. Like, if you watch the most recent government when they first started, and the ideas that they had, how they wanted to, do all these social programs and all this stuff, and then whilst they were standing outside at number 10 Downing Street, right? Is it Downing Street? Number 10, right? And then they went behind the closed door for about a couple of hours or whatever, and then they came back out, and then they said completely different things. I don't know what is going on, but ever since they walked into that house and the door closed behind them, they've completely changed their ideas of what they want to do. It's just what it is. Mary says, I watch, listen, read, but stopped getting black hole, so I stopped. Yeah, you can definitely go down the rabbit hole with this stuff, conspiracy theories and all these other maybe political jargons and stuff. But yeah. Yeah, you're probably right, Cakester. Yeah, richer people probably own them. I don't think it's going to matter at some point. At some point, it's all just going to fall apart, really. We kind of just waiting. A lot of people are just waiting for it, to be fair. They're just waiting for the inevitable. But yeah, I have noticed that, every time our Chancellor of the Exchequer opens their mouth, the stock market sort of gets scared. So it's a very somber. It's going to be a very somber day on November 27th, 26th, I think. But don't worry, because Stranger Things, the final season, is out on the 27th. So, we're all good. We could just forget about it for a couple of hours whilst we watch Stranger Things. Yeah, Cakester, they probably are watching this right now. Well, if they are, then they should leave a like. They should comment. Well, probably not comment, but leave a like and subscribe. If you haven't already, please do that. Yeah. Oh, I saw something as well. Last night, I was sort of doom scrolling on the internet before bed, and there was this article on YouTube, a video on YouTube, from the Quarterine. Has anybody ever heard of the Quarterine? He's a guy in America who does a lot of news reports, stuff like that, social commentary and stuff. And apparently, I could be wrong, but apparently Meta, which is Facebook, previously known as Facebook, is going to be able to read everybody's emails on and chat logs on Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. I think in America it's December. They'll be rolling out this thing where they're going to take everybody's information, like private information and stuff, and feed it through their AI algorithm, and they'll be able to read all your emails, all the I saw Gmail as well, all the stuff they'll be able to access. So that's fun. That was a fun nightmare to fall asleep to. So if you haven't scrubbed your hard drives, then maybe it's a good idea to go out there and start doing it. Joseph says, in this stage, do you enable anything, thick skin, etc., to not ruin the details, noise on the skin? Not really. At this stage, I just keep going with the sculpting, because I'm still adding alphas and I'm still detailing as I go along. But No, I don't tend to use thick skin too much. Thick skin's a great idea to use, to be fair, because you don't want to destroy the silhouette. So if you wanted to, you could use thick skin to keep the silhouette relatively the same. But no, I don't tend to use that too much. Miriam says, my brother lives in Northern Ireland. I can't say that. I was living there. We bought a house there. I miss it, but life is really tough to go back. Yeah, I miss it, but yeah, I mean, Ireland, it's not so sunny. Victor says, that's what the digital ID is for. Monitor everyone's social activity to ensure nobody is saying things they don't want us to say. True. That is definitely the thing that is going on the internet right now. But I think the whole thing with Meta is that they can bypass the ID, digital ID. So, yeah, I don't know. Why do people want to? I mean, what? I mean, everybody wants to know what everybody's doing, I guess. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think it's a better time when we were just Nokia 3310s, maybe, and we just used it for emergency phone calls. In fact, that's another thing. There's a lot of upsell at the moment on dummy phones. Everybody knows what a dummy phone is, right? Dummy phone is basically a Nokia 3310. It's not an Android. It's not a smartphone. But they've seen a massive increase in sales for so-called dummy phones. Not from older generations, but from younger generations, which is kind of strange. Yes, K-Star. Anyway, back to VFX talk. Did anyone else see the trailer? Actually, that's one thing I want to ask you guys. What do you guys think of the Moana, Disney's Moana trailer that recently came out? Do you guys think that they should have made that film so close, so soon? Sorry. Do you think it's a good idea of them to have made that film so quick, so soon? Because, you know, I think it's only 9 years old, the animation. I was sort of watching an article, and someone said that they remember taking their kid to see the animation version of it in cinemas, and now they're graduating high school or something. It's like, it's definitely not enough time has passed for them to have thought of making that film into live action. You know, I think it's silly. That one could have at least stayed on the back burner for a good 20 years at least. Joseph Bonkowski says it's too soon, just like the Harry Potter remake as a RV. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm definitely in the same realm as you, mate. I think Harry Potter, as well as that, as Harry Potter is definitely too early to make a reboot of that. Plus, I don't want them to. I think they're just going to ruin it. It's just going to be an absolute mess, because you have people who grew up with it and are, you know, fell in love with it as films, who are going to watch it and they're going to think, what the hell? Why is everything so weird? Why is this in there and that in there, and why have they changed this and that? I think that the movies were a perfect adaptation, but as close to a perfectly good adaptation that you'd get, you know? And they still hold up really well today. Miriam says, I haven't watched any any from Disney for a long time, you're not missing much, to be fair. There's that new one on Netflix. I only know this because my niece wanted to watch it on Sunday. What was it called? It was a new animation. It wasn't. I don't think it was from Disney. Netflix animation movies. In Your Dreams. That's the one. In Your Dreams. That's the new animation that's on Netflix. It's actually very good. I actually really liked it. I used to love that kind of form of animations until, Disney became rubbish and they were spitting out rubbish. But that In Your Dreams just reminds me of what Disney used to be like. And I think if Disney went back to doing things like that sort of film, then it would be okay. Then everything would be fine with Disney. But if you haven't watched it already, go and check it out. Casey says, gonna really piss people off here. Still not seen. Oh, for God's sake. He hasn't seen the Harry Potter films, guys. Put an L in the chat for Cakester. Zifrus Prime says, are you using the Huey 22 Plus? No, I'm not. I'm using a Wacom 22 Cintiq. I've only ever used Wacom. I fell in love with Wacom, and I never really tried anything else. Miriam says, I will watch Zootopia 2. I really like Zootopia 1. But Zootopia 2, have to see how it goes. Joseph says, mate, Cakester, you have 1 week to fill this gap. Yeah, you better watch it before they bring the TV show out. That's your assignment. Go watch the Harry Potter films and fall in love. With the films, obviously. Seen that one. Miriam says, in your dreams, I will watch it. Yeah, definitely have a go at that. It's kind of how Pixar used to be. Like, it's a kid's show, but it's got a few adult humoristic sort of comedy pieces in it, which is really cool. Cakester says, I used to love the Ice Age stuff, but the Adventures with Buck film looked like a student's project. Yeah. Ice Age was great films, especially the first one. Oh, for goodness sake. Miriam, you have a week to watch Harry Potter as well. In fact, anybody that's on this live stream right now, if you haven't seen Harry Potter yet, you have a week to go and watch it. All 7. Yeah. Casey, you're not the only one. Well, you're both on assignment. If you haven't watched it by next Thursday, you're blocked. Zephyrus Prime says, I also missed the Harry Potter movies. Oh, for goodness sakes. Has anybody here seen the Harry Potter? That's probably something I should have said. Has anybody here actually seen the Harry Potter films? Yeah, well, Miriam, that's fine. Oh, sorry, he's saying good night. See you later, guys. See you later, mate. Hamid says, thanks for the live stream. I have to go for sleep. It's 2 a.m. Laugh out loud. Good night. Wow, 2 a.m. Well, go sleep, mate. This will be up for another week, so you'll be fine. But thank you for joining tonight. Right. Can't believe it. Can't believe people haven't seen the Harry Potter films. Next thing you're going to tell me, you haven't seen the Lord of the Rings films. And if you say you haven't seen those films, then you are barred from joining this live stream in the future. Casey, good night, mate. Good night, Hamid. Casey says, I will put myself in solitary confinement if I haven't watched Harry Potter by the end of this year. You have got about 5 weeks to watch Harry Potter before the end of the year. In fact, that's your Christmas assignment. Go watch Harry Potter. A movie a night. Master Splinter says many times, including the extended versions. Which is this Harry Potter or is this the Lord of the Rings? Because the Lord of the Rings, I've seen all those extended. Just brilliant. Miriam says 1 a.m. here. My son, 2 years old, running around the house. Oh, good luck with that, mate. I can't help you with that, unfortunately. Cakes says, bro, generally haven't seen. Everybody throw a tomato at Cakester. Throw a tomato at Cakester, please. He hasn't even seen the Lord of the Rings yet. God. Zephyrus Prime says, I love magic and fantasy a ton. They just came out when I was working way too much. I'm still a sci-fi fantasy nerd. Lord of the Rings all the way. Good to hear that. Master Splinter says, not seen Lord of the Rings trilogy is a travesty. It is actually. I think it was voted as one of the 100 films to watch before you die is Lord of the Rings. So when I start that next year, the 100 films, the IMDb is 100 films to watch before you die. When I start doing those live streams, you'll have to have watched it. Otherwise, you can't really say anything about it. Mariam says, I grew up with Lord of the Rings, watched them 20 times. Good man. Mariam says, last Dungeons and Dragons movie was fun. I think the very first Dungeons and Dragons movie was better. I don't know. I've only seen snippets of the first one, of the new one, sorry. But I've seen the old one. Now that was fun. It was rubbish, but it was fun. Casey says, I'm more of a TV series person than a film person, but I do go to the cinema a lot. Fair enough. But you still got 5 weeks to watch Lord of the Rings. Sorry, Harry Potter. Alan says, Lord of the Rings, all movies, one time a year since ever. Good, man. That is dedication right there. Yeah, I love the Lord of the Rings. You know what it is? It's just a good fantasy film. Now, when Lord of the Rings came out, right? It was at a time when fantasy was kind of laughed at quite a lot. It was late 90s. They had such films like the Dungeons and Dragons were all those really, really bad ones. But then when Lord of the Rings came out, it was a game changer, right? Just like The Matrix was a game changer. Was a game changer for Hollywood. The Lord of the Rings showed that fantasy could be cool and also epic. With Matrix, that was also a game changer because the initial test screening for The Matrix was they had one shot to show that The Matrix could work because they were only given, I think it was only given $10 million to make the sort of test screening for The Matrix. It was either they were given 10 million to make that or they were given 10 million after that to make the film. But basically that one shot where Trinity jumps at the very beginning, where she jumps in the air and then the slow motion thing happens where they pan the camera around and then she kicks the police officer. That was the game changer for all action films afterwards, like the bullet time effect. And it was because of that one scene that we actually got The Matrix. Because if it wasn't for that one scene, I think Warner Brothers were just going to pull out of that whole film. Comics Legend says, this is looking great. Do you think that working asymmetrical gives you a sense of relief and freedom since you don't have to keep it in symmetry? Yes and no. When it's in symmetry, you're able to get it done faster. And you don't have to worry about doing the sort of opposite leg afterwards, right? Whereas if it's asymmetrical, it has its upsides and its downsides. The downside is you're going to have to do it twice because it's asymmetrical. The upside is it's going to look a bit more organic because it's not symmetrical. So there's two good things. There's a good thing and a bad thing about working asymmetrically. But if you're doing a sculpt that is not asymmetrical, like a posed character at the beginning, then it doesn't matter. You're gonna have to do it anyway, right? But if you're doing a character like I normally do, concepts, speed concepts, speed art, for a concept piece, you're probably better off doing it symmetrical and then breaking it up later on and doing asymmetry. Zifros Prime says, Skyrim got me into game development. Went to school and got a degree in it, so fantasy is my lifeblood. I'm currently working on a fantasy IP at the moment. Oh, brilliant. Is that like in your full-time job, or is that freelance? But that's great, man. Yeah. It's amazing what actually leads people to becoming to working in this type of industry. Like what was the one thing that you watched or you played that you actually wanted, that you actually thought, that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, is do that sort of thing, you know? Casey says, didn't realize all the Harry Potter films were on Netflix right now. We'll definitely have to watch them. Yeah. It's funny that the Harry Potter films, right? It's funny because only 1 and 2 have extended versions. I haven't seen any of the other films that have extended versions. So that's a bit strange how they never came out with the extended version for the other films. Amon says, so true, when being nerd was truly being nerd. Yeah. Master Splinter says, whoa, hard take that the film... sorry, let me try that again. Whoa, hard take that the first D&D was better. It is classic for sure. The new Dungeons and Dragons is fantastic. I'm gonna have to. I think it's got a little special something in a certain place in my heart. The original one. It's just so. It is so of its time, right? The actors knew it was something silly, so they didn't really. They didn't really care about that. How it came out. And I think everyone just had a good time, had fun playing, making the film, to be fair. Miriam says, I love Skyrim music in background while sculpting. You see, I'm going to blow people's minds, right? But I didn't like Skyrim. That was the one with the guy who shouts at dragons, right? You shout at dragons, you shouting magic and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. I think it's because my friend in university used to play it. And it was in the living room with everybody else. And so we just had to watch him play this video game whilst we ate our dinner. It just seemed quite boring to me and very, very grey, very miserable. It reminded me a lot, because it's also part of the same company, I guess, but it reminded me a lot of Fallout 3. Now, Fallout 3 I loved. But Skyrim, I just could not get into it. I think it's just something about the sort of the look of it and the repetitiveness of it. It just I never cottoned onto it. Now, I know you're going to say, well, you like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, and that's pretty repetitive, but I don't know, something about those ones. I think it was the art style by that artist who created nearly everything for those games. I think it was the art style, and the sort of side quests were a bit more interesting because it's more based in future technology and what could happen as a nuclear fallout. That sort of thing interests me a lot. Whereas old time fighting dragons and stuff, it's fun, but it's not for me. I like guns, I guess. Zephyrus says, wish you were success with the IP. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. Good luck with that. Comic Station says, I didn't like Skyrim because you couldn't actually ride on a dragon, only in cutscenes. Fair enough. Kixer says, does anyone know any streaming services that currently have Lord of the Rings available? I wonder if Amazon does, but I'm not quite sure. You might have to pay for it. I think it's in rotations anyway, so they rotate it in and out sometimes. Master Splinter says it was D&D minus back D&D minis back in the 90s that made me want to create figurines. Oh, okay. And thankfully ZBrush and 3D printing makes it happen. Oh yeah. I mean, thank God for technology now that we can do it, do 3D printing and ZBrush sculpting now. It says, I love Skyrim, but the combat not need like 500 mods to fix the game. Fair enough. Oh, you didn't like Skyrim? Oh, no. Witcher 3 again. Joseph Uncasty says The Witcher 3 forever. I'm going to disappoint a lot of people. I have The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt? Or I don't know, something like that. The Witcher 3, basically. I have it on the Xbox, and I started playing it, and then within 20 minutes of playing it, I just gave up. I didn't give up as in, this is boring. I just gave up because I was just like, what else could I be doing right now, But yeah, those kind of games are not my cup of tea, be honest. I like games that are more story-driven. I know you're going to say, all these games are story-driven, but they are. But I like ones that can work for about, you can play for about 2 hours and then you're done. You don't have to worry about going fetch quests and all these sort of things. My favorite one at the moment is Still Wakes the Water Deep. Is it Still Wakes the Deep? 1 second, let me just try and find it. Still Wakes the Deep. There you are. Yeah, Still Wakes the Deep. If you haven't watched or played it, go play it. If you haven't got time to play it, go watch someone else play it on YouTube whilst you work. That's what I do. I put it on in the background because it's very much like a film, where it's a 2 to 3 hour game, very quick game, and it's kind of like on rails. So it's a linear narrative, but it's very well done. It's a beautiful game to play through, and it's very grounding as well. It's kind of like Alien Isolation. You can't really kill things. You just have to survive, and that's sort of games I really love. Like, yeah. Comics Legend says, I love Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, I like the art style of Cyberpunk, but again, I've got it on my Xbox. I played 20 to 30 minutes of it. I couldn't get into it. I started to think. My mind started to wander. I just started to want to do something else. That's a really bad thing, though, isn't it? Like, my attention span in that sort of realm of playing games is just gone. Although I can sit down and watch Zack Snyder's bloody Justice League Supercut, which is 8 hours or 4 hours long. I can sit and watch that for hours and not be bored. But when it comes to games, I don't know. It has to grip you. It has to grip me really quickly, Otherwise, I don't know. Miriam says, I have finished a few games in my life and come back to a lot of them. I love Metro. Oh, is that the one like that Russian? Is it Russian made? The Metro is because I think I got that one as well. I started playing it, and then I just gave up again. I've got a very bad streak of giving up on games. It's kind of bad, really, as a game artist. But I really like the sort of art style of that game, and it's very timeless as well. It's aged very well, Metro. You can play it today, and you'd still think you're playing a game that was made today, right? So I agree. And it's also got some nice creature design in it. I think the only game that I 100%, well, not the only game, but one of the only games I 100% made, or 100% finished, was the Hogwarts. I know everyone's going to think, what the hell? But yes, the Hogwarts game. Cakester, if you haven't played the Hogwarts game, go and play the Hogwarts Legacy game as well. You have to do that as well. It was a brilliant game. That's it's a laid back, chilled out game. That's the kind of thing I like. I used to be into these shoot 'em ups and whatnot, but I got old and I got very, very what do you call it? Not lazy, but slow. That's the word. Casey says, I'm going to head off now, but thanks for the stream. Take care. Take care, mate. I'll add it to my list. Good. You better. Master Splinter says, facts. Hogwarts Legacy, Legacy, not whatever I said, is a great time. Yes, definitely so. Especially when you're 100% finish that game. It just takes you back to it took me back to when I was like young, when the Harry Potter films are coming out, and the only thing I wanted to do was actually live that world. That's kind of how, Hogwarts Legacy made me feel, and I think they're actually bringing out another one, so I'm definitely going to play that. That's a game I could definitely just sit back and play and not worry about wasting time. Joseph Boskowski says, if somebody says watched a full season of TV show during the night, nobody bats an eye. But if I say a movie is 4 hours long, everybody, yeah. I think it's because TV shows, they have natural breaks, right? So you'll have a break, you'll have either an advert or between shows. Whereas something that's 4 hours long, like Ben-Hur or the 10 Commandments back in the day, or even Justice League, when you watch those films, it just carries on. It just goes on forever. Miriam says, last game, Mount and Blade Viking Conquest with mods, Wall Shield with crazy Vikings go to war. Fair enough. Is that Skyrim you're talking about, or? Yeah, I think that's pretty good. We're getting there. We've just got one more foot to do, and I think we can leave that until the first week of December, because next week we're doing the portfolio reviews. So if you haven't already, you can join us or join me for that, and I'll go through portfolios live and take questions on the portfolios. We kind of skipped it last week or last month, because we had this thing that we were doing, and I kind of wanted to get more of this done, but we will be doing it again next Thursday, starting it up again next Thursday. So if you have a portfolio you want me to have a look at, and maybe I can guide you in the direction you want to go for sort of career-wise, I can maybe help you out with your portfolio and give you some helpful tips next week. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there, guys. It's actually quite late. It's 2 hours in. My God, 2.5 hours nearly. I've got one more question. All right, one more question. Joseph Boskowski says, which is your favorite Harry Potter movie? I'm going to say 3. No, 4. Yeah, The Goblet of Fire. Only because it's one of those, it's like an in-between. Like if you watch a TV show, right? Oh, sorry. See you later, Miriam. Have a good night and have a good weekend as well. If you watch a TV series, they normally have like filler episodes, and that's kind of what Harry Potter 3 and 4 are to me. They're kind of filler episodes. They're not really got much to do with the actual timeline. If you watch them back to back, you kind of think, oh, those are kind of just slot-ins for what do you call it? For the main story. So yeah, 4 and 3 are pretty good, and also that's because they became more of age. I say that they were in their teens then, and it was a bit more relatable when I was a kid. As I grew up, they grew up, and I think we grew up at the same time. So maybe some slight age gap, but yeah. So 3 and 4, and I think that's it really. Cool. All right. So gonna leave it there, guys. Right. I hope you guys have had a good night. I hope you guys have a good weekend. We will be finishing this off at some point. Like I said before, I don't really want to rush it. I think it's quite nice to see it evolve as we go along. So I'm going to keep going with this at a very somber pace whilst I take questions and chat with you guys. If you haven't already, become a member or hit the like, share, and subscribe. I just want to say thank you. Wait a second. Let me just turn off the comments real quick. Just want to say thank you to all of my members. I haven't had a chance to update this, but I have got quite a few of you guys here. But I just want to say thank you to all you guys. I'm going to give up on saying the names. There's too many of you, and it takes way too long, and I'm not very good at saying the names. But I'd love to thank all of you, especially my 6-monthers who've been here for 6 months, or if you're here for longer. That you guys are really helping keeping this channel going, as well as my Patreon members. I want to thank all my Patreon members as well for being there for this long, really. And yeah, so I'm going to leave this up for a week. I'm going to probably make a video on the plans for next year during December, because December's really my holiday from doing stuff on YouTube. I do plan on still doing lives, like live streams. So we still do the Monday and Thursday, but I'm not going to make any more artwork time-lapse video wise. So it's just for me, it's just it's sanity thing for me. I'm going to keep away from it. But I will be doing the live streams up until the second week, I think, of December. And then after that, I'm going to go completely off the grid, because that's Christmas and that's going to be family time and enjoying my holidays. So I'll let you know anyway. I'll let you know more about that closer to the time. So maybe next week. But please join on next week when we do our portfolio live stream, because that's always fun to do, and you guys get to get my opinions on your portfolios. Just want to say thank you to Joseph Bunkowski. Have a great weekend. Master Splinter, thank you for joining the chat tonight. Comics Legend, also thank you very much for joining. He says, will there still be the retopology on the dragon as planned? I do plan on doing that. I want to get the anatomy stuff out the way, and then we'll probably jump back over to the dragon as the second stage project of that. The second stage of that project, basically. And we'll go through that using Maya, and then we'll jump onto another project, and then we'll go back onto that project with the dragon for a third stage, which will probably be texturing in Substance Painter. So you guys get to see how to use Substance Painter for that. Cool. Right. I'm going to leave it there for you guys. Have a great weekend. I'm going to leave this up for a week, and it'll go on to the members only. If you're not a member yet, please consider joining. It's only £4 something a month, and you get all the live streams and the tutorials. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all on Monday for the anatomy tutorial. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more exclusive content and want to support my work further, then please check out my Patreon page at MLW_creative for more. Also, view past live streams you might have missed in Tier 3 tutorial support, where I will be archiving future streams moving forward. If you are interested in other full-length tutorials, brushes, and models, then check out my online stores for more useful content. I would also like to thank all my subscribers and patrons for supporting me for this long. Again, thanks for watching, and stay safe.